Good evening, everyone. This is your Sir Jasper, and welcome to Virtual English. For today's lesson, we will learn about American Psychological Association, or simply called as APA citation. But before that, we need to learn first the importance of citing sources. We'll also tackle about an overview or some a background about an APA citation. The third one, we will also see the difference or differences if there are between APA and MLA, and also we will learn about the rules on how to cite according to APA's guidelines. So, why is it important to cite our sources? First, it is a defense against plagiarism. It will always be assumed that the words or ideas are your own. But when the words or ideas you are using are taken from another writer, you must make this clear. If you do not do this and use another person's words or ideas as if they were your own, this is plagiarism and it is regarded as a very serious offense. However, if you cite your sources properly, then you will avoid this kind of case. Second, it is a way of showing respect. In fact, when you cite your sources accordingly or properly, it is a way to show that you recognize the work and achievements of previous scholars in their respective fields. Third is they tell your readers how to find sources you used in case they want to do further research. For example, in your research, your topic is about bullying. And in your introduction, you have mentioned some personalities that have stated their views about bullying. And if in case that your reader is very interested with this topic, at least they would know what or where they would find this information so that they could accumulate the details that they they need. Fourth, persuasion. It is a way of persuading your readers. If you cite or if you do citation, it will give you greater authority because that means that you are knowledgeable in field history, and that's the fifth importance. Here, this marks one's place in the field of study. Citations convince your reader that you know the field history and and are one of them. The sixth one is it will open up work for more research. Citations point to what has been done already, therefore illustrating the gaps for work still needed. So the gaps that we have identified will serve for the researchers to dig deeper into this issue so that they could alleviate or they could improve that kind of topic or scenario, research topic. And last one, citation, a proper citation tells the reader what you as a writer believe in as relevant work. Thus, you are establishing an intellectual network. Now, let's proceed to the overview or the background of APA or American Psychological Association citation. So, American Psychological Association style is a set of rules that authors use when submitting papers for publications in APA journals. The APA states that they were developed to assist reading comprehension in the social and behavioral sciences for clarity of communication and to move the idea forward with a minimum of distraction and a maximum of precision. The publication manual of the American Psychological Association contains guidelines for every aspect of writing, especially in the social sciences, from determining authorship to constructing a table to avoiding plagiarism and constructing accurate reference citations. Okay, so let's first see the differences between MLA and APA, which are popular text citation styles in research and other related academic works. So first, let's see how they cite text. Now, as you can see, the word or the text box in white represents MLA and the ones in yellow represents APA. So let me read first the ones in MLA. Will Hoyt explains that a simple claim is when you have a single assertion to report. 59. For APA, Will Hoyt 2009 explains that a simple claim is when you have a single assertion to report. Page 59. One of the first things you notice is the inclusion of publication date in APA format, but no publication date in MLA format. This difference is very important. In the social sciences, when an article was published, the date that an article is published, it's very important. A study on cancer cells from 1956 may not be as relevant as a study on cancer cells from 2012. Thus, whenever evidence in the form of citation is introduced in an APA-style paper, the date is included to alert the reader to the timeliness of the piece. In MLA, which is commonly used in the humanities, the timeliness isn't as important. For example, a literary interpretation of Hamlet from 1972 is just as relevant and significant as one from 2011. Next one is how they cite or cite their works and references. Okay, so let me read first the MLA. Will Hoyt, Stephen, a brief guide to writing academic arguments. New York, Longman, 2009 print. For APA, Will Hoyt, S. 2009, A Brief Guide to Writing Academic Arguments, New York, Longman. Here, there are two major differences that students note, or that you can note. The first is that in MLA, an author's full first name is given, whereas in APA, only the first initial is listed. So as you can see in MLA, we have Will Hoyt Stephen. There's the full name. But in APA, Will Hoyt S. Okay? The lack of full first name in APA indicates that disciplines employing APA as a citation style tend to favor the data, the methods, results, and discussion over individual authorship. In MLA disciplines, authorship is very significant in part because these disciplines tend to be data-driven, meaning that theories and abstractions tend to be associated with individuals rather than with disciplines as a whole, as is the case in concept-driven disciplines. You also observe the difference in terms of the placement of publication date. We have there in MLA, it is placed after the place of the publication, and for APA it is indicated after the writer. And also in MLA you can see the after the date we have the word print, so you need to also cite whether it is print online, because that's also very important in MLA, but in APA it is not necessary. Okay, and also the way title is being expressed for MLA, all caps except for prepositions, but in APA only the first letter of the first word is being capitalized and the others small case letters. So that's the difference between MLA and APA in terms of work citation and references. Now let's move on to the rules of APA citation style. There are actually two ways in which you can refer to or cite another person's work. First is by reporting, and the second one is by direct quotation. Let's begin with reporting. There are actually two types on the reporting. The first is integral, and the second one is non-integral. So first, in this one, when you report, this simply means that reporting or repeating the other writer's ideas into your own words. You can either paraphrase if you want to keep the length the same, or summarize if you want to make the text shorter. So as I said a while back, there are two ways. We have the integral and the non-integral. So let me read the example under integral. According to Peters 1983, evidence from first language acquisition indicates that lexical phrases are learned first as unanalyzed lexical chunks. Another example is evidence from first language acquisition indicating that lexical phrases are learned first as unanalyzed lexical chunks was given by Peters. Okay, so here when you report through the integral way, you're going to use the words was given by or according to and other related terms. Okay. The second one is non-integral under reporting. So let's look at the following example. Evidence from first language acquisition, Peters 1983, indicating that lexical phrases are learned first as unanalyzed lexical chunks. Compared to integral, we included Peters 1983 as part of the clause, okay, and the sentence. But here in non-integral, we just put it in parentheses. Another example is lexical phrases are learned first as unanalyzed lexical chunks, Peters 1983. So you see the difference? When you use integral, you include the name as a part of a clause in the sentence. But when you use non-integral, you just copy the statement and then put parentheses after. It's either in the middle or after the statement. And also on the reporting, when you put your reference in, when you put, the reference in the bibliography, you follow this format. So we have Peters A, 1983, the units of language acquisition, Cambridge University Press. Okay, so this will be placed in the bibliography. And the second one is through direct quotation. So occasionally you may want to quote another author's words exactly. For instance, here, let me read the example. Hillock's 1982 similarly reviews dozens of research findings. He writes, the available research suggests that teaching by written comment on compositions is generally ineffective. Page 267. So under direct quotation compared to the reporting one, the writer it was placed as a subject in the sentence. Okay, so that's the difference between direct quotation and reporting. And then just like reporting a while back, you put this reference in the bibliography. Okay, so let me read. Hillock's G 1982, the interaction of instruction, teacher, comment, and revision in teaching, the composing process, research in the teaching of English, 16, pages 261 until 278. As you can see here, the way the reference was being expressed is more specific compared to the reporting one, the first step, which is reporting. Now, when you follow the second method, which is the direct quotation, you must keep the quotation as brief as possible and quote only when it is necessary. You must always have a good reason for using a quote, and feeling unable to paraphrase or summarize is never a good reason. The idea of an essay is for you to say something for yourself using the ideas of the subject. You present ideas you have learned in your own way. The emphasis should be on working with other people's ideas, not reproducing their words. Your paper should be a synthesis of information from sources expressed in your own words, not a collection of quotations. Any quote you use should not do your job for you, but should add something to the point you are making. The quote should support your point by quoting evidence or giving examples or illustrating or add the weight of an authority. It should not repeat information or disagree with your point. Now, what are the instances when we should or when it is proper to use quotations? First, you must quote if you use another person's words. You must not use another person's words as your own. The second, you need to support your points. Quoting is one way to do this. And the third one, you have to quote if the language used in the quotation says what you want to say accurately, or it says particularly what you intend to state. Now, when should we not use quotations? First, do not quote if the information is well known in your subject area. For example, Albert Einstein is a genius. Do not quote that one already because that's a common knowledge. Second one, do not use a quotation that disagrees with your argument unless you can prove it is wrong. So that falls under coherence and cohesion. The ideas that you have to incorporate in the paragraph should be related and connected together. The ideas should be unified. So when there are opposing arguments in one paragraph, that means your ideas are disorganized, okay? And it will be quite a chaos, especially if your reader does not is quite confused on what you're trying to imply in the paragraph. Okay, so that's like condensing information in one paragraph. So you must choose your sources carefully because it may give you an advantage, but it could also destroy your work because of the disagreement between the arguments. Okay. Third, do not quote if you cannot understand the meaning of the original source. So do not ever do that. Do not quote something or do not incorporate a quote just for creativity. No, in academic text, you have to be objective. So, as much as possible, ideas must be relevant, as I said, must be logical, must be connected together. And the last one, do not use quotations to make your points for you. Use them to support your points. So, citation or quotation serves as your uh, evidence. Okay, just like in debate, there is what we call point, our analysis, and then evidence. So use quotations. The same is true in writing academic text or in your position essay. Also, we have the topic, the thesis statement, and then the explanation and the example. Use the quote as an example, okay, as a way to prove your argument. But in the position essay in IELTS, do not use quotations because that's considered to be a deduction, okay? But I just use that one as an example. Now, the following are the rules in APA citation style. And the first one is, when you are using either a direct quotation of a single phrase or sentence, quotation marks should be used around the words, which must be quoted exactly as they are in the original. However, you have to take note this. You may wish to omit some of the author's original words that are not relevant to your writing. In this case, use ellipses or three dots to indicate where you have omitted words. If you omit any of the author's original words, make sure you do not change the meaning. As an example, we have, he stated the placebo effect ellipses disappeared when behaviors were studied in this manner. Smith, 1982, page 276, but he did not clarify which behaviors were studied. So as you can see there, the symbols in red, we have the quotation marks placed before and after the statement, and also the ellipsis, the three dots after effect. Okay, use that to omit some of the words that are considered to be irrelevant. Second, if you need to insert material like additions or explanations into a quotation, use brackets. Okay, brackets, as you can see there, after the brackets, that's a symbol of bracket. Okay, now let me read the example. Smith, 1982, found that placebo effect, which had been verified in previous studies, disappeared when his own and others' behaviors were studied in this manner, page 276. So in the original work, his own and others are not included. So when you want to add when you want to add words, you have to add brackets, okay, indicating that you have added some of the words or added an explanation to the uh, statement of Smith, for example. Third, if the material quoted already contains a quotation, use single quotation marks for the original quotation. Okay, for example, he stated, the placebo effect disappeared when behaviors were studied in this manner. Smith, 1982, page 276, but he did not clarify which behaviors were studied. As you can see there, we have the quotation marks before and after the statement the and manner. And if you want to quote a placebo effect, use single quotation marks. As you can see, the symbol in red, and that's the single quotation mark. Fourth, if the direct quotation is long, more than 2 or 3 lines, it should be indented as a separate paragraph with no quotation marks. So for example, we have, according to Smith, 1982, page 276, and then colon, and then after that you enter a space and then indent if it is a paragraph, or yeah, it is a paragraph. Okay, we have this one. The placebo effect, which had been verified in previous studies, disappeared when behaviors were studied in this manner. Furthermore, the behaviors were never exhibited again, even when real drugs were administered. Earlier studies were clearly premature in attributing the results to the placebo effect. So, if there are more than 2 to 3 lines, then you should do this one. Okay, you should indent as a paragraph, as a separate paragraph. So the first one that we have, that I have shown a while back, is the direct quotation way. The second one is citing secondary sources through reporting. Okay, so in all cases, if you have not actually read the work you are referring to, you should give the reference for the secondary source what you have read. In the text, you should then use the following method. According to Jones, as cited in Smith, 1982, page 276, the ellipsis. The third one is citing paraphrase and summarized text. So, reporting in citation uses paraphrase and summary to acknowledge another author's ideas. You can extract and summarize important points while at the same time making it clear from whom and where you have gotten the ideas you are discussing and what your point of view is. For example, Brown, 1983, page 231, claims that a far more effective approach is ellipsis. Another, Brown, 1983, page 231, points out that a far more effective approach is ellipsis, and a far more effective approach is Brown, 1983, page 231. Okay, so The first one is Brown's point of view with no indication about your point of view. So you use the word claim. The second one is Brown's point of view which you agree with. So you use point out. And the third is your point of view which is supported by Brown. So those are the differences. Those are the difference between the three. The first one, you without indication of your opinion. The second one, this one is your opinion. The third is it serves as your evidence. Here are some more expressions you can use to refer to someone's work that you're going to paraphrase. For instance, if you agree with what the writer says, you may use the work of X shows that, or as X points out. However, if you disagree with what the writer says, you should say, you may say, X claims that, or the work of X asserts that. But if you do not want to give your point of view about what the writer says, you may say, according to research by blank suggests that. Sometimes you may also want to quote an author's words exactly, not paraphrase them. So if you decide to quote directly from a text, you will need an expression to introduce it, and quotation marks will need to be used. For example, as X stated or states, X found that another. This is used for a conclusion. Okay, given this evidence, it can be seen that. It is clear, therefore, that, and many more. And that ends our virtual lesson on Flipped Classroom. I hope you learned a lot from today's online discussion. If there are any questions, feel free to raise them in class and I will do my best to entertain your queries. So again, this is your Sir Jasper. See you tomorrow and have a great evening.